Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from Group 1 and I am Zaid Praido. You can call me Zaid. And we are going to talk about structure and writing expression. Now, my part is Skill 1 and Skill 2. Skill 1 is be sure the sentence has a subject and a verb. You know that the sentence in English must have at least one subject and one verb. This is the common types of problems that you will find in every student in TOEFL preparation. Perhaps the sentence is missing one of the verb or the subjects or both. Or perhaps the sentence is giving the extra subject or the extra verbs in one sentence. So we are going to jump into the example. Imagine if you are given a question like this. Blah 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 was baked up for miles on the freeway. A. Yesterday. B. In the morning. C. Traffic. And D. Cars. Okay, let's talk about it. If you put yesterday at the front of the sentence, as we know that yesterday is an adverb of time. So yesterday is not the most correct answer. How about B, in the morning? In the morning is also an adverb of time. So it is exactly the same thing happening with A. It's not the correct option. C, traffic is a singular noun. So it could be a subject of was, to be was. So it must be the correct answer. But we see D, cars. It is the plural nouns, so it might not be the correct answer for to be was. So C is the best answer. Next, we jump over to the next question. Engineers, blah 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 blah, for work on new space program. Okay, let's talk about it. After subject, we must add the verb. So which one the verb? A. Necessary. B. Are needed. C. Hopefully or the next month. Necessary is not a verb, but it is an adjective, so it's not the option. B. Are needed. It must be the option because it is a verb. Hopefully and next month is not a verb, as you can see. You can find out on the dictionary it's not a verb. So B is the best answer. Next, we are moving on to the next skill. Be careful of the object of preposition. An object of preposition is a noun or pronoun that comes after the preposition. You know what is or what are the prepositions? Yeah, there are prepositions. In, at, of, to, by, behind, and so on. For example, after his exam, Tom will take a trip by boat. Okay, at the beginning of the sentence, after his exam. After is a preposition, exam is a noun. And then, by boat. At the end of the sentence, by is the preposition, boat is a noun. This sentence contains two objects of preposition, exam and boat. Okay, let's jump over to the next question. With his friend, blah 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 blah, found the movie theater. A. Has. B. He. C. Later. And D. When. Which one is correct? Okay, let's talk about it. In this example, with his friend. With his friend, it's already the object of preposition. So we need the subject. Has is not a subject, so A is incorrect. C, later, it's not a subject. When is probably connectors or the question word. So he is the best answer. With his friend, he found the movie theater. So let's move on to the next questions. The interviews by radio broadcasters were carried live by the station. How many objects of preposition are there? Yes, there are two objects of prepositions. The interviews by radio broadcasters. by radio broadcasters. Radio broadcasters is the object of preposition by. And then the station, the object of preposition by to. So there are two object of prepositions in this sentence.
Hello everyone! For my section, I will explain about scale 3. Be careful of positive. But before that, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Desmita Safitri Razni and my last student number is 014. A positive can cause confusion in the structure section of the TOEFL test because an appositive can be mistaken for the subject of a sentence. So what is a positive? An appositive is a noun that comes before or after the subject and function to explain or give more information about the main subject. For example, Sally, the best student in the class, got an A on the exam. In this example, Sally is the subject of the sentence, and the best student in the class is appositive because of the noun student and because of the comma. If an appositive is placed between the subject and the verb, it must be enclosed by two commas. If an appositive is at the beginning of the sentence, it is separated from the subject by one comma. The sentence says that Sally and the best student in the class are the same person. Note that if you leave out the appositive phrase, the sentence still makes sense. Sally got an A on the exam. And it's important to remember, an appositive cannot be a subject of a sentence. And the next example shows that appositive does not always come after the subject. An appositive can also come at the beginning of the sentence. Number 1. Blank blank blank, Sarah really misses her basketball shots. A. An excellent basketball player. B. An excellent basketball player is. C. Sarah is an excellent basketball player. D. Her excellent basketball play. What is the answer? The answer is A. In this question, you can tell that Sarah is the subject and Mrs. is the verb because there is no comma separating them. In the space, you should put an appositive for Sarah, and Sarah is an excellent basketball player. So answer A is the best answer. Answer B and C are not correct because they each contain the verb is, and an appositive does not need a verb. Answer D contains a noun, play, that could possibly be an appositive. But play is not the same as Sarah, so this answer is not correct. The next skill 4. Be careful of present participle. A present participle is the ing form of the verb. In the structure section of the TOEFL test, a present participle can cause confusion because it can be either a part of the verb or an adjective. It is part of the verb when it is preceded by some form of the verb be. First example, the man is talking to his friend. The man is subject and is talking is a verb. Why is a verb? Because it is accompanied by is and because there is no other verb. So is talking here is a present participle verb. Second example, the man talking to his friend has a beard. The man is noun, has is a verb, and talking is adjective. Why is adjective? Because it is not part of the verb and is not accompanied by a form of be. The verb in this sentence is has. So talking here is a present participle adjective. And the next question. The child blank 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 playing in the yard is my son. A noun. B is. C he. D was. What is the answer? The answer is A. In this question, if you look at only the first words of the sentence, it appears that child is the subject and playing is a part of the verb. If you think that playing is part of the verb, you might choose answer B, is. or answer D, was, to complete the verb. However, these two answers are incorrect because playing is not part of the verb. You should recognize that playing is a participial adjective rather than a verb because there is another verb in the sentence, is. In this sentence, there is a complete subject, child, and a complete verb, is. So, the sentence does not need another subject or verb. The best answer here is A.
Hello everyone, my name is Fitris Maniar and my last student number is 002. So, in this explanation, I will explain to you about the Skill 5 and Skill 6 from the TOEFL structure section. So, let's start from the Skill 5. Be careful of past participle. Past participle usually end in ed or irregular forms. They can cause confusion because they can function as either a verb or an adjective. First of all, as a verb, accompanied by forms of have or be. For the example, the family has purchased a television, or the poem was written by Paul. The second one, as an adjective, appears without have or be. For the example, the television purchased yesterday was expensive, or the poem written by Paul appeared in the magazine. And then, how to identify and answer the question. First, check if the ed word has a helping verb, such as has, have, was, and were. If yes, it is a verb. Second one, if no helping verb exists, look for another main verb in the sentence. The ed word is an adjective. Next, in here, I have a table. There's a function, condition, an example of the simple past participle as a verb, and past participle as an adjective. Simple past is a past tense action. Past participle as a verb has have or be, and past participle as an adjective, there's no have or be. Alright, let's move to the example of the question. The packages blank 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 mailed at the post office will arrive Monday. What's the correct answer? The correct answer is D. For the explanation, the main verb is will arrive. That's why mailed acts as a participle adjective, not a verb. Option A and B incorrectly because turned mailed into a verb, while C adds an unnecessary object. That's why the correct answer is D. Alright, let's move to the skill 6. In here, I will explain to you about use coordinate connectors correctly. Many sentences in English have more than one clause. What is clause? A clause is a group of words containing a subject and a verb. Whenever you find a sentence on the TOEFL test with more than one clause, you need to make sure that every subject has a verb and every verb has a subject. One way to connect two clauses is to use and, but, or, so, or yet between the clauses. And is for addition, same direction idea. For example, Tom is singing and Paul is dancing. But is for direct contrast, positive versus negative idea. For example, Tom is tall but Paul is short. Or is for choices or alternative options. For example, Tom must write the letter or Paul will do it. So is for cause and effect. Clause 1 causes clause 2. For example, Tom told a joke, so Paul laughed. Yet is for an unexpected result. Something surprising happened despite clause 1. For example, Tom is tired, yet he is not going to sleep. And how to identify and answer the question. Locate the two clauses, subject 1 plus verb 1 and subject 2 plus verb 2. Ensure there is a comma and a coordinate connector joining them. For the example, A power failure occurred blank blank blank. The lamps went out. What is the correct answer? In this example, you should notice quickly that there are two clauses. A power failure occurred and the lamps went out. This sentence needs a connector to join the two clauses. Then, later and next are not connectors. So, answer A, C, and D are not correct. The best answer is B, because so can connect two clauses.
Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Zilvila Veli and the last student number are 01H. In this section, I will explain skill 7 and skill 8. In skill 7, use adverb time, close connector correctly. Adverb connector are words used to connect two clauses in one sentence. A clause usually consists of a subject plus verb. A. Adverb time connector. Adverb time connector are used to show time and relationship in time between two events. Example: after, before, when, while, until, since, on, whenever, as soon as long as, in, by the time. With example, I will sign the check before you leave. There are two clauses. First, I will sign the check as a subject plus verb, and you leave as a subject plus verb. B. Adverb clause connector. Adverb clause connector are used to show a cause or reaction. Example: because, since, as, not that, and in as much as. And the example: because it was raining, Teresa went inside. In sentence consists of because is a connector, it is subject, was raining is a verb, Teresa is a verb subject, and when is a verb. Next, in skill 8, other adverb connector. Besides showing time and cause, adverb clause can also express several other relationships, including A. Condition. They are used to show a condition or requirement. Example of connector: if, unless, provide, providing, in case, and whether. Example: I will leave at 7 o'clock if I am ready. B. Contrast. They are used to show two contrasting or opposite situations. In example: although, even though, while, and whereas. In patterns, although plus subject plus verb, comma, subject plus verb. Example: so I was late, I managed to catch the train. C. Manner. They are used to explain how something is done or the manner in which something happened. Connector: as, in, that. Example: he behaves as her father does. D. Place. They are used to show a place or location. Connectors: where, wherever. An example: I will wait wherever you go. Next, I have two questions from skill 7 and skill 8. First, blank blank blank. It was raining, we decided to stay at home. What is answer? Yes, correct. The answer is because. Explanation: the correct answer is because the sentence shows a cause or reaction. Because it was raining is the reaction. We decided to stay at home is the result. The sentence means, karena hujan kami memutuskan untuk tetap di rumah. Because is an adverb, cause connector used to explain the reaction for an action. Next, question 2. Blank blank blank. I was tired. I continued studying. What is answer? Yes, the answer is also. The correct answer is also because the sentence shows a contrast or contradiction. I was tired, one condition. I continued studying is an action that contrasts with that condition. The sentence means, meskipun saya lelah, saya tetap belajar. Although is an adverb contrast connector used to connect two contrasting ideas. Thanks for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hi everyone,
everyone, I am Cynthia Maharani with last student's number 068, and in this section I will explain to you about the material in skill 9 and skill 10. The first one is skill 9. Use noun clause connectors correctly. A noun clause is a clause that functions as a noun. Because the noun clause is a noun, it is used in a sentence as either an object of a verb, an object of a preposition, or the subject of the sentence. There are many kinds of noun clause connectors. What, when, where, why, how, whatever, whenever, whether, if, and that. So, these are some examples. The first sentence, I know when he will arrive. Noun clause as object of verb. In the first example, there are two clauses, I know and he will arrive. These two clauses are joined with the connector when. When changes the clause he will arrive into a noun clause that functions as the object of verb know. The second example, I am concerned about when he will arrive. Noun clause as object of preposition. In the second example, the two clauses I am concerned and he will arrive are also joined by the connector when. When changes the clause he will arrive into a noun clause that functions as the object of preposition about. And the last example, when he will arrive is not important. Noun clause as subject. The third example is more difficult. In this example, there are two clauses, but they are a little harder to recognize. He will arrive is one of the clauses, and the connector when changes it into a noun clause that functions as the subject of the sentence. The other clause has the noun clause when he will arrive as its subject and is as its verb. So, let's try to answer the question. Blank 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 was late cause many problems. A. That he. B. The driver. C. There. D. Because. In this question, there are two verbs, was and cause, and each of these verbs needs a subject. Answer B is wrong because the driver is one subject and two subjects are needed. Answer C and D are incorrect because there and because are not subject. The best answer is answer A. If you choose answer A, the completed sentence would be that he was late cause many problems. In this sentence, he is the subject of the verb was and the noun clause that he was late is the subject of the verb cause. Next, skill 10. Use noun clause connector or subjects correctly. In skill 9, we saw that noun clause connectors were used to introduce noun subject clauses or noun object clauses. In skill 10, we will see that in some cases a noun clause connector is not just a connector. A noun clause connector also be the subject of the clause at the same time. There are several noun clause connectors or subjects correctly. Who, whoever, what, whatever, which, and whichever. For the example, the first sentence, I do not know what is in the box. Noun clause as object of verbs. In the first example, there are clauses, I do not know and what is in the box. These clauses are joined by the connector what. It is important to understand that in this sentence, the word what serves two functions. It is both the subject of the verb is and the connector that joins the two clauses. The second example, we are concerned about who will do the work. Noun clause as object of preposition. In the second example, there are two clauses. In the first clause, we is the subject of are. In the second clause, who is the subject of will do. who also serves as the connector that joins the two clauses. The noun clause who will do the work functions as the object of the preposition about. And the last example, whoever is coming to the party must bring a gift. Noun clause as subject. In the last example, there are also two clauses. Whoever is the subject of the verb is coming, and the noun clause whoever is coming to the party is the subject of must bring. The word whoever serves two functions in the sentence. It is the subject of the verb is coming, and it is the connector that joins the two clauses. Next, let's try to answer the question. Blank 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 was on television made me angry. A. It. B. The story. C. What. And D. When. In these questions, you should notice immediately that there are two verbs, was and made, and each of those verbs needs a subject. Answer A and B are incorrect because it and the story cannot be the subject for both was and made at the same time. Answer D is incorrect because when is not a subject. In answer C, what serves as both the subject of the verb was and the connector that joins the two clauses together. The noun clause what was on television is the subject of the verb made. So answer C is the best answer. I think enough from me. I say thank you very much.